If running is the best thing for the heart, then why do we still see heart attacks in some marathon and long distance runners? Today, we're going to answer a very important question. Is running always better than walking when it comes to heart health? And the answer is far more nuanced than most people think. Peace be upon you and welcome back to Men Human. I am Dr. Haytham Farrage, a certified cardiologist, nutritionist, and a personal trainer. Before we begin, let me be very clear. Movement is good. Exercise saves lives. There is no debate about that. But what many people don't realize is this. Not all exercise sends the same biological signal to the body. Your heart, hormones, muscles, and even where your body stores fat respond very differently depending on intensity, duration, recovery, and most importantly, your metabolic state. Before we go deeper, I want to thank you for the huge impact of the previous video on walking. The engagement and thoughtful comments were incredible. One comment in particular came from Fadi, who asked, and I quote, "Great video, doc. I like running. So how does running compare to walking for heart health? Is running always better?" This is an excellent question, and that's exactly what we'll answer today. Let's start with walking, because for most people, this is where the journey should begin. As we discussed in the previous episode on walking, walking is not a light or inferior form of exercise. It is a powerful metabolic and cardiovascular intervention. Walking lowers blood pressure, improves insulin sensitivity, enhances fat oxidation, reduces stress hormone levels, improves endothelial function and vascular function. Most importantly, walking improves heart health with minimal cortisol stress. This makes walking especially effective for people who are insulin resistant, overweight, or carrying visceral fat, chronically stressed, sleep deprived, beginners or returning after inactivity. For these individuals, walking is often not only safer than running, but more effective for long-term heart health. Because the most important rule is this: consistency matters more than intensity. If you haven't watched the previous episode on walking, I strongly recommend watching it first because this video builds directly on it. Now let's talk about long-distance running, especially when it is prolonged, performed at the same pace, moderate to hard in intensity, done frequently with limited recovery. To be fair, long-distance running does offer benefits. Running can improve VO2 max, increase endurance capacity, enhance cardiovascular efficiency, but here is the part that is rarely discussed. Cortisol, muscle loss, and the hidden cost of prolonged endurance training. Prolonged endurance running can lead to sustained elevation of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. Cortisol is not bad. It is essential for survival. It helps us to mobilize energy during stress. But chronic elevation is a different story. Persistently high cortisol can promote muscle protein breakdown, encourage visceral fat accumulation, gradually worsen insulin resistance, impair recovery and sleep quality. And this is a critical point many people miss. Muscle is a metabolically precious tissue. Muscle acts as a glucose buffer, an insulin sensitizing organ, and a protector against metabolic and cardiovascular disease. So if training consistently causes muscle loss, you may unknowingly weaken one of your strongest defenses against heart disease. When you look at this image of a marathon runner, notice extremely low muscle volume, prominent bones, minimal protective muscle mass. This appearance reflects a body that has adapted to chronic endurance, stress, and energy conservation. So if a training style consistently drives muscle loss, you may unknowingly weaken one of your strongest defenses against heart disease, even while exercising regularly. Now let's address an uncomfortable but important truth. Yes, runners can still develop cardiovascular events. Sudden cardiac arrest during endurance races is rare, but it does happen. A well-known example is Jim Fixx, author of the book The Complete Book of Running, who died of a heart attack while jogging. Autopsy findings revealed severe coronary atherosclerosis. Now the obvious question is, how could this happen to someone who was physically active and ran consistently? The answer is not that running is harmful And it is certainly not that exercise doesn't work. In fact, exercise can stabilize plaques and in some cases even contribute to plaque regression, especially when combined with a healthy lifestyle. However, physical activity alone does not automatically guarantee full cardiovascular protection. If endurance training is performed in the presence of metabolic dysfunction, chronic stress, inadequate recovery, ongoing inflammation, then cardiovascular risk may still persist. This is why fitness and metabolic health are not the same thing. So the deeper question becomes, how can someone be physically active for decades, running consistently, and still develop coronary artery disease? And Gym Fix is not just a historical example. I want to share a much more recent, living, and hopeful real-world experience from a fellow physician. On the previous walking video, I received a powerful comment from Dr. Thomas Junta, a physician himself. He shared that he was a dedicated runner for more than 40 years. Despite decades of consistent running, he developed knee problems that eventually forced him to stop, and later he was diagnosed with coronary artery blockages. He made a deliberate decision to shift his focus to walking as his primary form of exercise. What happened next is very telling. Walking helped him losing weight significantly, reducing stress, improving cardiometabolic blood markers, and according to his follow-up, his coronary circulation showed improvement. He also highlighted something extremely important. He was insulin resistant, and walking helped reverse that. Something he could clearly document using a continuous glucose monitor, especially noticing how walking after meals dramatically improved his blood sugar control. Today he walks 4 to 5 miles per day, year-round, and complements that with resistance training and occasional HIIT training. This brings us to a critical principle. More intensity does not automatically mean more protection. Smarter, sustainable movement often does. At this point, some of you might be thinking, if exercise alone isn't the full answer, then what actually protects the heart? This is exactly why I wrote my book, Is LDL Really Our Enemy? Cracking the Cholesterol Code. In the book, I explain in simple, evidence-based terms why cholesterol number alone don't tell the full story, the role of insulin resistance, inflammation, and plaque stability, and how lifestyle choices truly influence cardiovascular risk. But most importantly, this is not just theory. The book includes a 30-day meal and activity plan designed to improve metabolic health, reduce cardiovascular risk, and help you apply these concepts step by step in real life. If you want a clear framework that goes beyond exercise more and actually shows you what to do, you'll find the book linked in the description below. Now let's continue, because the next part explains why some people can still carry risk despite being physically active. Visceral fat is not cosmetic fat. It's not the fat you see in the mirror. It's hidden deep inside your abdomen, surrounding your organs. Visceral fat is biologically active and metabolically dangerous. It is pro-inflammatory, releasing cytokines that damage blood vessels, hormone disrupting, interfering with insulin and cortisol signaling. And it is strongly linked to insulin resistance, increased small dense LDL, the most atherogenic type of LDL, endothelial dysfunction, cardiovascular events. And here is the paradox that surprises many people. Some endurance athletes look lean and fit externally, yet carry dangerous visceral fat internally, hidden deep around the organs. Now, there is a very effective tool for detecting visceral fat, and that is abdominal MRI, where you can see physically visceral fat surrounding your internal organs. Now I'm going to put on the screen an MRI showing a cross-section of the abdomen. Let's first understand what we are looking at here. On MRI scans, the bright or white areas represent fat tissue. The darker, grayish, dense areas represent muscle and lean tissue. Let's start with the MRI of a normal, metabolically healthy person. In this image, notice minimal white areas inside the abdominal cavity. Fat is stored mainly under the skin, not deep inside. The organs are surrounded with minimal fat. The muscle tissue appears dense and well preserved. This pattern reflects low inflammation, good insulin sensitivity, and a lower cardiovascular risk. This is what healthy internal body composition should look like. Now let's look at the MRI of a marathon runner. Despite often appearing lean and fit on the outside, you may notice large white areas deep inside the abdomen, fat surrounding the liver, intestines, and other vital organs. Less relative muscle density compared to the healthy individual. This white fat you're seeing is visceral fat. When you place these two MRIs side by side, the difference becomes very clear. This is not about body weight. This is not about appearance. This is about internal fat distribution. And this visceral fat is not passive. Visceral fat actively drives inflammation, worsens insulin resistance, and increases cardiovascular risk, regardless of how fit or lean someone looks externally. That's why appearance can be misleading. Your scale weight and body mass index can be misleading. The true cardiovascular protection depends on what's happening inside the body, not just how fit someone looks on the outside. So when we compare walking and long-distance running, the takeaway is this. Walking improves heart health, reduces stress, protects metabolism, and it is sustainable for life. However, running can be beneficial, improves endurance, but must be used wisely, not excessively. Running should never replace recovery, muscle preservation, sleep, and metabolic health. Here is the framework I want you to remember, because it simplifies everything we've discussed today. Walking is the foundation, a daily, non-negotiable habit. Creates minimal physiological stress, highly sustainable for life, and supports healthy blood pressure, improves insulin sensitivity, and protects vascular function. However, long-distance running is a tool, not a requirement. Can be beneficial when used correctly. It's helpful for endurance and aerobic capacity, and it is not mandatory for heart health. It should always be paired with adequate recovery, good sleep, nutrition that supports muscle preservation. And here's the guiding principle that ties it all together. The heart loves movement, but it hates chronic stress. Choose forms of movement that your body can adapt to, recover from, and sustain. Because long-term heart protection comes from balance, not from pushing harder and harder. You don't protect your heart by doing more and more. You protect it by choosing movement that your body can adapt to, recover from, and sustain. If you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and let me know your experience with walking or running. And if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps support this work and allows me to continue sharing evidence-based content that focuses on fixing root causes, not just treating symptoms. Also, if you want a free 8-week plan designed to help you lose visceral fat and improve metabolic health, check out this video right here. In an upcoming episode, I'll discuss how to train intelligently to protect muscle and metabolism while improving heart health. That's it for today. Until next time, peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum.